All right, so we want to look at his press conference because this is telling us a lot about how he's going to respond to this and how he's going to play it and how he understands it psychologically and how he's processing it. So let's look at the first videotape.
Crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country. He's the worst president in the history of our country. The most incompetent. He's the dumbest president we've ever had. He's the dumbest president, most incompetent president, and he's the most dishonest president we've ever had. And so many of he's a Manchurian candidate. You take a look at the way he treats China, Russia, so many others. You know, I ended the Russian pipeline. It was dead. He comes in and he approves it. And he gets $3.5 million, meaning $3.5 million is paid to the family, his family, from the mayor of Moscow's wife.
Okay. I think the main reason you wanted to show that, Harry, was because basically projection is his main defense, because everything he said about Joe Biden is really true about Donald Trump.
Yes. No, he's corrupt. He's ignorant. He's not functioning very well.
And he's a Manchurian candidate.
Yes.
So this next section, we actually have several pieces of videotape, all kind of on the same theme. And what we really kind of wanted to focus on here is also the psychology of the Trump follower and how he's really able to hook them. Of course, this press conference, right, is about his conviction. And of course, he's going to say he's the victim of a witch hunt. This was the Biden prosecution. It wasn't really a crime. There was statute of limitations. He just paid a lawyer. But the other main thing that makes people forgive him, everything, is that he paints a reality in which America is under attack. America is under attack, and only he will protect us. And who are we under attack from? Immigrants and minorities. I would like to suggest that I've been saying now for 6 years that Donald Trump is the American Hitler, that basically immigrants are the new Jews. Okay, they're being presented as this invading foreign horde, okay, who are literally a mortal threat to the country. And therefore, Democrats are disloyal if they won't protect you, and only the strong man Trump can protect you. So what he's going to do, and I want to look at these different videos, is essentially induce people into his psychotic paranoid world. Okay, he's spinning a paranoid fantasy that doesn't exist, but he's doing it in a way where people are drinking the Kool-Aid. So we have a series of videotapes to show this, and they become increasingly bizarre. Let's start with the first one.
They have a lot of money on the other side. I don't know where they get it. Nobody knows where they get it. But for some reason, they get money. But they're not on the side of our country. In many ways, I think they hate our country. Who on earth can want open borders where people are allowed to pour in from countries unknown, from places unknown, from languages that we haven't even heard of? We have people sitting in schools with languages where very few people have ever even heard of these languages. It's not like Spanish or French or Russian. Languages unknown. We have people coming from corners of the globe, and many of them are not good people. Many terrorists, record levels of terrorism, record levels of terrorists have come into our country. Record. They've never seen anything like it. You know, there was a report that in 2019, I don't believe this, by the way, the media gave it, and it was good for me, believe it or not. They said in 2019, there were no terrorists recorded that came into our country. I don't believe that. I don't think that's possible. But 2019 was a Trump year.
So it's an invasion. They hate our country because they're not stopping the invasion. There's a radical increase in terrorism, which isn't true. There was no terrorism when he was president, which wasn't true.
No, it's very strange, isn't it? This notion that people are pouring across the border from all corners of the globe, speaking languages we've never heard of. Extraordinary. It's really apocalyptic, isn't it? And, you know, you mentioned drinking the Kool-Aid, and I know an attorney who used to think that Trump was like P.T. Barnum, but he began to think of him as Jim Jones. as a cult leader. Jim Jones was the one who, through his paranoid views, got his flock to drink Kool-Aid with cyanide in it. So there was a mass suicide in Jamestown. Jim Jones.
Some of the neuropsychologists have also pointed out to us that one of the things Trump does to sort of compensate for his deficits is kind of repeat the same words over and over again. So he does manage to get a word that evokes the feeling he's talking about, and then he just keeps repeating it. But that particular word, unknown, it really, what they say about demagogues is they create this sense of the other. Right? The other is not human. The other is an invader. So unknown really is kind of like the other. They're the other. They're the other. They're unknown. They're unknown. So he keeps using that word over and over again, in part because of his brain damage, but in part because it's really a way of demonizing and dehumanizing. Right? Yeah. They're not even known. They speak languages we don't even know. If they spoke Russian like Putin, that would be fine. If they were Russian spies, that's great. But if they speak a language we don't know, what could that be? Something scary and alien and really bad. Absolutely. Anyway, let's see the next one.
Nobody's ever seen anything like it. We had a DA who is a failed DA. Crime is rampant in New York, violent crime. That's what he's really supposed to be looking at. Crime is rampant in New York. Yesterday in McDonald's, you had a man hitting him up with machetes, a machete. Whoever can imagine even a machete being wielded in a store, in a place where they're eating, and he's going rampant. And Bragg is down watching a trial on what they call...
That's what I was going to say. It's a crime, because Bragg was looking at a quote crime, meaning his. So first of all, the basic message is Bragg should be worrying about street crime among blacks in the inner city instead of worrying about, clerical crime and white collar crime in Trump. So again, here's the minority being demonized, right? He's attacking wildly, rampantly with a machete, but also he gets lost in the story cognitively. It's like a machete, like in a place with people eating or shopping, or imagine a machete is rampant, so he kind of loses the story there too.
He does. And of course, machete is associated for many people with the jungle, right? I mean, it's something you use to cut your path. And also he was associating to the machete from Alvin Bragg, who is an African-American person who was the prosecutor. And it was interesting. Bragg is so modest. If you see him, he's sort of a big guy. He doesn't try to be stylish or anything. He's very straightforward. I read about him. Do you know that when he graduated from Harvard College, that in the newspaper, in the college newspaper, they had a story about him, calling him the anointed one, because he was so accomplished and went directly to Harvard Law School? I mean, this is an extraordinarily accomplished person.
Yeah.
A lot more accomplishment than Donald Trump. And you can kind of hear that rage, at these African-American DAs, with the exception of Jackson.
Yes.
There's always that racist quality that we also heard.
Machetes as a dog whistle, something like jungle weapon.
As is the foreign. He doesn't say their people are different colors. He just says their languages are unknown.
Right. Right. So let's hear some of the other things that he's saying about immigrants.
Little things like our kids can't have a Little League game anymore because you have tents and you have migrants living on the fields. That's the least of it. People are taking over our luxury hotels, migrants, and yet our veterans, our great veterans, are living on the streets like dogs. They're living on the streets. But migrants are living in luxury hotels in cities all over our country, run by Democrats. So it's my honor to be doing this. It really is. It's a very unpleasant thing, to be honest.
So, Harry, I don't know if you heard about this, that all of these Little League games that have had to be canceled because of all the migrants camped out there. It's really not a thing. It's actually never happened anywhere ever in this country, even once.
And but they're clogging up public spaces. that little league people need. It's extraordinary, isn't it? It's so hideous. This notion that migrants are filling up luxury hotels owned by Democrats. I mean, this is the guy who runs hotels. I mean, what an absurd thing. Really extraordinary. Really extraordinary.
Yeah, no, this is like there's no fantasy that's too ridiculous. And the thing is that sometimes if you hang out with people who consume this kind of stuff, Fox News viewers, whatever, they'll tell you confidentially. I mean, have you heard that they can't even play baseball in the park anymore? Have you heard about that? I mean, people will seriously tell you these incidents. I know people that do this. They want to tell you about this, and it's always one of these made-up stories. This outrage, the little leaguers the little children can't play baseball because of the horrible migrants camped out.
Well, yeah, and he also talks about the Boy Scouts. I mean, he's, anything Americana, like Little League, he wants to say is being undermined by these foreign people pouring over the border, pouring in.
Well, as it turns out, that's not the worst thing they're doing. There's more. There's more. Let's hear more about what the immigrants are doing.
But now record levels of terrorists, record levels, the highest level we've ever seen of terrorists are pouring into our country. You have China with just in the last few months, 29,000 people came in, and I looked at them on a line, and they look like perfect soldiers. They're almost all male, from 19 to 25. It looks like a recruiting exercise. They have beautiful tents. They have propane stoves. They have cell phones, the best you can buy. I said, what's going on? It looks like they're building an army right in our country. Now, I don't think that would happen, right? We're losing our country. And I really think that this is an event, what took place yesterday with this judge. Look,
I think that's really crazy.
It's really crazy.
I mean, it may be effective. This notion that there are 19,000 people that he saw online, where did he see them lined up to come in? I mean,
like an army.
He's just making it up. And they've got propane stoves with them.
The best ones. They've got the best ones. Imagine just the insult of it.
It's really mad. I mean, it's a really crazy story, but it's said with conviction. It's said with outrage, and it is, and it's said as an eyewitness account.
Yes. Like he witnessed the Arabs. He witnessed thousands of Arabs celebrating on 9/11. He said he witnessed thousands of them celebrating. Right. I don't think he witnessed one of them celebrating.
They weren't.
Because they weren't.
In Jersey City or something. I was insane.
Right. In Jersey City, yeah. Well, so here's the thing. So I appreciate people bearing with us. I wanted to sort of zone in on that theme because I want people to sort of understand what is his appeal. His appeal, I think, is fear and paranoia, that people believe this thing. They think that if you thought that there were record levels of terrorism and a Chinese army was assembling in your park, I think then you would probably forgive Trump almost anything to stop them. But that's the thing. It works. Okay. So fear and racism and paranoid projection works. The other thing that Trump is brilliant at, okay, is taking the badge of dishonor, okay, and making it a badge of honor. So remember, this is a press conference to explain why he's been convicted of 34 felonies. But from the way he presents it, you'd think he was there to accept an award. Let's watch this videotape.
It's a very sad thing that's happening in our country. And it's a thing that I'm honored. In a way, I'm honored. It's not that it's pleasant. It's very bad for family. It's very bad for friends and businesses. But I'm honored to be involved in it because somebody has to do it. And I might as well keep going and be the one. But I'm very honored to be involved because we're fighting for our Constitution.
Yeah, he's absolutely flipped it upside down. Right. He has been dishonored. He has been convicted by a jury of his peers, by a very, very successful and brilliant prosecutor who had gotten an indictment in a grand jury. He had all the opportunities with the best defense money could buy. And he was convicted. So now it's not a dishonor. Actually, he doesn't really have to do it, but for us and to save the Constitution and to save the country, he's willing to take the hit.
It's Christ.
And by the way, but one last thing, you mentioned it was a press conference. He took no questions. He took no questions. Of course, he wouldn't take questions. Imagine the questions the press would ask. And where's the outrage by the press that he calls a press conference and doesn't take questions?
Yeah, good question. So he mentioned that he was honored to have this distinction 5 times, but you'd think we'd be done honoring him at that point, but no, there's more honoring to go. Chip, can we watch the next video?
It's my honor to be doing this. It really is. It's a very unpleasant thing, to be honest, but it's a great, great honor. We're gonna do what I have to do. I'm going to do it, and the support has been. That's why I mentioned the number of $39 million. That's why I mentioned we're up 6 points, and we went up a lot over the last month because everybody saw it was a rigged deal. It was a rigged trial. But we're going to make America great again. We're going to make it better than ever before. November 5th, remember, November 5th is the most important day in the history of our country. Thank you very much, everybody.
I'm surprised, actually, they didn't say, I'd just like to thank all the people that made this crime possible. I mean, exactly. He's accepting it, an honor. I'm honored. I'm really honored. I think he said the word honored 10 times.
I want to thank Roy Cohn for all of his support and advice.
Right, exactly. Now, one of the things, and we have still alive with us, Robert J. Lifton. He's not with us today. I mean, it's not our guest, but I mean, he's still with us in the psychological community. He really wrote a groundbreaking book about how people like Hitler take over a society. And one of his theories is that malignant narcissists impose their insane vision on society till it becomes the consensual opinion of the society. And he calls that malignant normality, when what is normal is actually malignant. So Nazi Germany is a perfect example. I mean, whatever you want to say about Germany, anti-Semitic, whatever, it was a civilized, relatively normal country. Once Nazism came in, there was a whole reversal of the value system. I mean, before Nazi Germany, if you had killed a Jew, you'd go to jail, you'd be on trial. I mean, it's a crime. Then later it becomes a virtue. So this is how a society can actually be turned upside down in terms of their value system when they drink the Kool-Aid of the malignant narcissist. But you might ask, how could you get anyone to believe this crazy stuff, like about the Chinese soldiers? Well, because there's one thing that all of these people need: surrogates, right? Who support their unreality, so that now there's an echo of voices echoing the unreality. So as as our listeners know, the Republicans are coming out in droves to defend Donald Trump. We don't have time to listen to all of the toadies, but I really felt that the best supporting actor role it does belong to Tim Scott, because I feel like he has distinguished himself in his ability to abase his dignity and throw to the winds any sense of shame or dignity. Okay, so he's practically in tears, okay, defending Donald Trump. I just think it's worth a couple of minutes to hear this.
Oh yeah.
I can't believe the hoax, this sham, this absolute injustice justice system. D.A. Bragg and the judge should be ashamed of themselves. This isn't just ridiculous. This actually erodes the confidence that Americans have in the justice system. Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. But good news is coming. D.A. Bragg, hear me clearly. You cannot silence the American people. You cannot stop us from voting for change. Joe Biden's injustice, Joe Biden's two-tier injustice system, weaponizing the justice system of the United States of America against a political opponent? Un-American. Joe Biden, you're fired. We the people stand with Donald Trump.
Oh my God.
Revolting.
I have to be honest with you, it makes my skin crawl.
Yeah. Yeah. But here's the point, I think. If we don't assert the reality of his feloniousness with the same passion that they're asserting the opposite, okay, then their message is going to win.